Good day, great day, and grand day to you all. Welcome back on another segment of Dr. TSA Series, a spiritual discussion. Thank you all for joining me today. Today's topic is emotional eating. Do you emotional eat? Do you eat when you're emotional, when you're stressed, when you're confused, when you're just in front of the TV? Is that something you engage in? One of the important things to understand about emotional eating is that we do so because there's something missing. We do so because there's a sense of void. And it's important for us to recognize that because too many people fall into the trap of emotional eating. And it can be viewed as a sign for wanting to seek comfort, for wanting to seek fulfillment or heal in ways that may not be addressed in a deeper and underlining way. You often hear people say that they like to eat comfort foods. Well, why is it that these foods are considered comfort foods? Oftentimes, comfort foods are categorized as these heavy meals that are high in salt, that are high in oils, that, those things that are added to the foods that's not really good, but they're good, right? And so why do we consider certain foods comfort foods? Oftentimes it's seen as this manifestation to want to fill or try to fill some emotional desire or a spiritual void within you with something physical that's outside of you. And I want to share some insights about emotional eating on this spiritual level or a spiritual perspective, right? So when we are emotional eating, it often indicates that we're not satisfied with where we are. We're not satisfied with where we are. There are a lot of questions maybe in your mind. There's a lot of things that may be going on in your life that you feel like you can't handle. I mentioned before being stressed or maybe perhaps feeling like there's something missing in your life or not really having a purpose. And from a spiritual standpoint, it suggests that there is this disconnect. There's this disconnect with your core, with your essence. There's this disconnect where you're not able to be fed from your spirit, and there's this need to be spiritually fed. And because we can't find what will spiritually feed us, we turn to comfort foods. Eating emotionally can highlight spiritual dissonance within you, this disconnect between your mind, your body, and your spirit, and you can't seem to shake it off. But all you know is that this food tastes good. All you know is that when these aspects of our being, the mind, body, and the soul, the spirit, is not being aligned, we turn to eating these comfort foods, indicating again that there's this deeper need for spiritual healing, enlightenment, and understanding. Sometimes people turn to comfort foods because they're not at peace. They're not at peace internally. And it's so important for us to take an introspective look as to what is really going on within us, whether we do it through reflection, whether we do it through meditation, taking some time away for us to dig deep and understand, why am I feeling compelled to eat emotionally? It's a pervasive issue. Rather, it's a very pervasive issue where a lot of people fall into that trap, to the point that we find ourselves, or people find themselves gaining the weight. And before you know it, they're at a weight where they realize, oh my goodness, I am this far along in how much I weigh, or oh my goodness, I've gained a lot of weight, and then become stressed about the fact that they've gained weight as a result of emotional eating or eating these comfort foods. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you what to do in terms of what to eat or how to eat or when to eat it. What I'm sharing with you is just giving you a perspective the emotional, spiritual perspective as to why some people engage in emotional eating. Another look into why people will eat, emotionally eat, it can be interpreted as a lesson in how to, I guess, really practice self-love and self-care, acknowledging that this is happening and having a desire, a commitment, a desperation to want to stop, because it challenges you to find more nurturing ways to sustain yourself. This is part of self-care. This is part of self-love, knowing that what you're doing is not the best behavior, knowing that it's not, the outcomes are not going to be beneficial. And so sometimes when we emotionally eat, we have to really look at why and what is the connection that has been lost, and how do we regain that connection. Again, going back to the spiritual perspective, going back to who you are as a spiritual being, having this human experience. Because we are spiritual beings, yes, we have to maintain this body because this body is the house in which our spirit lives. But you want to be able to treat that body with love and respect so that it can sustain the essence, so that it can sustain your spirit. And so when you practice self-love and self-care and you treat your body, the temple, as it should, then your spirit will feel and be grateful. Your spirit is what drives the cart, right? Your spirit is what needs expression on this planet. And if your spirit is not, or if there's a lack of connectivity with your spirit, then there's some form of almost a violation, if you will, when we are not doing what needs to be done for our spirit. Your spirit needs a car to be able to maneuver. Your body is the car for your spirit to maneuver. What are you saying in terms of how you treat that car? What are you saying to your spirit in terms of how you treat your car, right? You have to treat the body, the temple, with love and respect. And if there's a lack of that, we have to ask ourselves a question as to why that is. And when we find that answer, we want to reestablish that connection with our spirit. You want to reestablish or heal that connection with your spirit, asking for forgiveness, honoring your spirit, honoring your truth, honoring what is right for you. It's important for you to really take a journey into figuring out, why am I engaging in emotional eating? And so I hope that was helpful for you, gaining that perspective or some insight into the spiritual perspective of emotional eating and where that comes from, because we need answers. I have this YouTube channel because oftentimes what we're experiencing in life, we don't have answers to. And the spiritual perspective, oftentimes, if not all the times in my experience, actually, let me correct that, because there's some things that I don't have answers to that I continue to ask my spirit, and the answers are trickling in. But needless to say, I say that because oftentimes there are questions, existential questionings that we have that we don't have answers to. And so I present this perspective or this topic because sometimes people fall victim to emotional eating and want to understand why and want to understand how to stop. And so with that in mind, addressing emotional eating from a spiritual perspective really forces one to seek understanding, overstanding, understanding, and heal. And so some of the practices that you may want to engage in starting that journey is prayer, meditation, mindfulness practices, having the support of those that are closest to you and have you your best interest in mind, And of course, you're the one that has to make that first step. You're the one that has to decide once and for all that, you know what, this, me eating comfort foods every day is not the best, and it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't, it doesn't reflect well on my body and my day-to-day activities or my day-to-day way of life. So I hope that was helpful for you all. Once again, thank you all for watching Dr. TSA, A Spiritual Perspective. Send me some questions if you'd like. If you want me to expand further on this topic, I'd be more than willing and happy to do so. Thank you again. Remember that you are loved. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Namaste. Bye. And there you have it, another segment on Dr. TSA Series, A Spiritual Discussion. Remember to click down below, subscribe, and if you want to leave a message, comment down below. Thank you for watching. Namaste. Mwah. Bye.